and we suggest that you start off with the history of the farm. So right now, we're going to share the history of the farm. I have it typed up, so I will email it to you as well, so you don't need to take notes. But this is how the story goes. Steph, want to get us started? And anybody else chime in.
This used to be the old Grossman's farm. They've had it in their family for about 125 years. And now it's a 5-acre organic farm.
What? You'll remember that when you were here last time, we used the special green, right, for Valley Stream? Yes.
So you're good here? I'm gonna.
Yeah. Thank you, Stephanie.
You are.
Thank you. So Stephanie labeled everything. So this is your spinach from last time. So who remembers the date that we were together last? Yeah, thank you. Was it March 6th?
No, that's a Saturday.
I just want to figure out how long the plants
March
have been
4th.
growing. Thank you.
Oh, no, I'm wrong. That's no, it was before that.
Yeah, I thought it was February.
February 23rd.
Thank you. So February 23rd, we have documentation.
I just looked at the picture.
So February.
That's what I did too.
23rd. That's check the photo. February 23rd, you joined us, and let's recall what you did. What did you do on February 23rd?
The soil block and the plastic containers.
And we transplanted the small plastic, the ones that were already growing, to the greenhouse.
Hoop house.
Right. So on February 23rd, you took seeds and you put them into pots. These are those seeds. So these are your plants. These are the plants that you planted. Anything that Valley Stream District 13 teachers planted has been labeled as such. They went from that greenhouse to this greenhouse. And what you notice is now they're in what? Why? They need space to grow. Primarily the roots needed room to grow. But transplanting is delicate. You have to is a living plant, and the roots, as we know, anchor the plant in the soil, and then they're the way that they get their water to the whole plant system, really, because the plant's a system. So Leonore and Stephanie lovingly took your individual plants when they were ready, and what they called is they potted on. Is that the correct term? Yeah. Potted on. So what we're going to do now is the same. So you're going to, again, this is your lettuce. You planted it in the seed.
Wow.
Right? So when you looked at it, you went, whoa.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Are any of you surprised that this is how big they are? Yeah? So why were they able to grow so well in that, what is it, 6 weeks, 7
Well, do
weeks?
we know what was the soil blocking and what was not
Oh, it's labeled.
on
Thank you
individual?
for reminding
Okay.
us, yes. So remember we ran that with some of each, the broadcasting, right,
Yeah.
we did? Right?
No, I think we did some
No,
in
we did
cells, some in cells, and some in actual soil
Oh,
blocks.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, I apologize. So they are labeled, so you can check that as you transplant, and we'll keep the label with it, so we know which is which, right? So we'll keep, like this says spinach, sowed on 223, and then I can't read the other initials. SK. So I know what you're saying.
When
I
we
can
marked
ask
the
Jeff.
sticks, we didn't indicate soil block or cell.
That was not labeled?
No, not the sticks. Not the sticks, because the state was already.
I might be able to ask Steph. She's amazing. She might literally be able to know what
That's what they were trying to figure out.
So,
And these are in the soil blocks still, right? Because they never were taken out of the soil blocks. So
there you go. So working backwards.
That was what we had,
Good job.
that was what we had planned on
Yeah.
doing, was just looking to see how they
Aha!
worked.
So, to your point, if there's a tray with no separation, it was soil block.
Yeah,
If
correct.
it's like this,
That's
excellent.
cells, yes.
So we can keep track of that moving forward.
So the soil block hasn't been.
Exactly. Thank you, ladies. Good working backwards. Always love that. Shall we show you how to pot on so you can do so?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Cell was put into
pot
So-
if it wasn't in Sally's station.
Can we pot on, guys? So here's what we're gonna do. Thank you for, it seems blatantly obvious now, but like, so this is what we do. Steph, Judy's gonna show you how to pot on.
Basically,
Wait,
you want to hold the plant out very tenderly so that you don't.
wait a second, they're not. Ladies, come on over.
Okay, and you know what I want to do first too? First I want to put some soil in here. So that there's plenty of room. And you want to take the plant out very tenderly because we don't want to disrupt the roots. And if you can see the roots, how much it's grown in just a short amount of time. Then you place it, and you want to place it in the center so that it has enough room to grow. And it, otherwise it's too close to the other side and the roots get crushed and collapse. And then we surround it with more potting soil.
Now, are we packing it like we did last time?
Yes, you want to pack it so that there's no air between the roots. And it should be up to that little, you see where there's a separation there? That's where the soil should be. See that line there? That's where the soil should be. And then this should be water. And that's how we work.
And that's exactly what you'll show your students, and then what's the next step? Water. But we'll do like an assembly line, right? Where they gently take the roots out. Then what you do is, can you put that in the tray for us, please? Then we'll put it in the tray, then we'll bring the tray over and water all of them, so that we keep track of what.
Are they doing this the first trip or the second trip?
The first trip. Right? Thursday or Friday,
Okay.
whichever, yeah.
So we're gonna have a group that's doing the soil blocking and planting the seeds, a group that's potting on, a group that's at the bees, right?
Yeah, you can do it that way, sure.
I think
but
everyone is doing everything.
Exactly, but
Yeah.
that's like,
Yeah,
that's why I
yeah, that's what I just
hesitated,
meant. And then
because
is
of the
there maybe a
rotation.
group that kind of observes the animals for a little bit if we have 4
Yeah,
classes
but
and we
then
wanted
we're
to
also
do?
getting you to the field. You're gonna plant
Oh,
in
okay.
the field as well.
Oh, okay.
Like
Yeah.
we did in the
So,
house, right?
so there's the seeds, the potting on, the bees, and the field.
Correct,
Okay. got it.
correct. Is that clear?
Yep.
Okay, cool. We think it's important that they actually go to the raised mounds and literally put it into the ground as well.
Like we did in the hoop house.
Yes.
Got it.
Yes, so now that it's April,
We can go right to
yes.
When they do this,
So,
eventually we've taken that out to put in the kids'
right,
field.
so your plants are, these plants that you just potted on, if Stephanie feels they're ready, we'll literally go into the field, but probably not these that you just did, because we're doing them on Monday. These would most likely be ready to go.
What are they doing on the second one? If they're doing all of this in the first one,
Are they
then what do they
harvesting?
do?
I thought they were harvesting.
I thought they
On
were
the second
harvesting
trip?
too. Do you know what the kids are doing on their second trip?
June.
We will
That's a
plant
good
these
comparison.
in the same raised mound as these, so that they're in the same soil with the same amount of compost. We're not gonna intermix them, but we're gonna put them right next to each other, and we'll put a sign that says, Valley Stream School District 13, lovingly planted by the teachers on blank date, transplanted on blank date, and then if Stephanie and Judy, you have to give us the go-ahead. I don't know, can these be planted directly into the mounds on Thursday?
I believe so, yes.
Okay.
I think that, but look at
So
the
we'll put
difference
soil
already
blocking.
between the soil blocking. I mean, just
So,
in
wait,
comparison.
so teachers, Evo videotape this, come over here to tell us. No, tell your friends at home what we're doing. All the teachers go over on that side. Remember, part of this is we want the kids to recognize your total involvement in this. So you as the teachers say, on whatever date, be specific. What date was it?
February 23rd.
We did this, we're investigating this, this is how we are today on blank date. Talk us through it.
You guys want me to talk? On February 23rd, we came to the farm and we actually planted seeds. We did an experiment to see how the seeds would grow differently between being planted in trays and doing soil blocking, and this is the difference so far that we see. These are the plants that were planted in the trays. You can see the difference in size already, and when we move them again out into the garden, we'll see how they continue to grow differently or if they catch up with each other.
not us. You guys are here, you're doing it, and you were not in the video. So get over there, Eva's gonna take another clip. And now you guys can explain potting on. So this group, go ahead.
Part of the process today is to take the seeds that were planted in the plastic cells and to pot them on into larger containers so that they have room to grow. And then after a little while, after a few days, then they will get planted in the mounds. But for right now, they need a little bit more space, so we're taking them out of the cells, and it's called potting on.
Can someone pick it up, show them the root system, talk about that? Go ahead. Go. Oh, come on, just
So you can see the roots like way at the bottom here. They're the white ones, and this is a lettuce plant, and we're just gonna tiny bit loosen it up a little bit before putting it in the pot. Okay. Covering
This
it
is
with
going to give
soil.
the roots extra space to grow because the roots need to be able to spread out in order to get the water and nutrients that the plants need to help it grow properly.
It's kind of like when your sneakers get a little too tight.
It's a good way to say. Nice analogy. Yeah. Very nice
As
analogy.
you're replanting them, you need to make sure you're pushing the soil all the way down so there's no air pockets to make sure there's enough soil in here. Because if you notice, I just pushed this one down and now there's not enough soil in it.
Yeah, this one doesn't have enough either, so.
Okay, now
And there's no air pockets.
We're gonna make sure that we're packing down the soil so that there's no air pockets. So it's good to go.
how does it feel being here today? Warm.
Great.
Great.
It is definitely warm.
Well, why do you like it? Why do you like it?
No, this is great. I love
nice.
this.
The fresh air.
It feels like spring. There's fresh air. How about when you were standing over by the beehive? What was that like for you?
Yeah.
Certainly doesn't hurt that it's our first 75-degree day.
I know, right?
But how does it feel to be outside?
Wonderful.
It's great to get your hands on things too, you know?
Kind of
Send
work
and
like
we
a
would
little
not
team.
send to do that. No.
We know.
We would know.
You'll know right away. Right when they get off the bus, you'll
So
know.
Mary
Yes.
Jean, why don't you go hang with Mary Jean for today? Okay. These are looking lovely though. Were you
Sometimes
surprised
the
by
one
how
with
much
the
they
most
grew?
Yes. Yeah. Definitely.
Good.
From one single seed. Like that's what.
Yeah.
Like we didn't.
You're right, we didn't
didn't
put a bunch
sprinkle.
in.
It was
You're right.
literally one seed. I think that might.
That's a good
That's going to
point.
be hard for them to like get.
Well, sometimes if we try to like compare how they grow, and
Right.
you know.
Right. We could, that's a good idea. We could talk about when we met you in September. You guys, you
and
know,
what
we're
did you need to
right.
grow
and now
try
it's
to-
spring
yeah.
and yeah. Yes.
It's so many
So
analogies.
when did you plant these? When were these seeds?
February 23rd.
And now,
Why do you think those are so much bigger than the other ones?
It's more room to more room to
Like,
grow.
is it open? I think because it's
Yeah, because they have. Are we changing these over as well, or they're going to stay like this?
If we have some.
And why do you think that?
That's what we were just talking
Why
about.
do you think that?
Well, we were saying that the roots have more space to already like fan out, and then and she came up with an idea that maybe they're able to actually pull more moisture out of the air and stuff.
Yeah. We were talking about cause and effect. Like we had a very rainy and snowy season, so there was a lot of precipitation. So maybe it was absorbed.
Yeah. So we start with our observation, and I like you. I walked in here yesterday. I went, whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Greenhouses help, right?
Yeah,
Amazing.
For sure.
Yeah.
They work. They work. Who knew? It's working.
One more.
The tractors. We're going to start watering what already planted after Philadelphia grow.
Yeah. A good way to hold a watering can or to model it is to show the child that if you hold this and this, it's more stable. Because otherwise, it goes hairy-nary all over the place. So, and then remember, children are always watching what you're doing. So that's the lesson itself. Probably you need to say, "Do you see what I'm doing?" And when you watered the last time, did you notice that sometimes when the water comes out of the spout, it will make like a little hole from hitting?
Oh, but yeah.
Yeah. So Would that be a great idea or not a good idea?
That's so good.
Not so good. So,
I want like a little puddle.
just want a little puddle, so we don't want it to come charging out and make a divot. So a good way to do that would be to try to, you can even use your hand to just
Oh yeah, maybe like a
break
rain
it, let it like a
Right.
rain stain.
I think when we did them inside,
Yes,
we
we
used
used
the
the
hose.
Let me try. But in the,
But when they were on the mounds,
yeah,
we used the.
just in general, the idea of like, don't hose them out, would be something to
Yeah,
pass
if you
on.
let it trickle through your fingers.
Yeah.
They will. Yeah, they're like.
Who would like to try?
Also, when you're using the hose, test it first on the side to see what kind of pressure, and let them see. Oh wow, what would happen if we sprayed at this pressure? Probably not a good idea, or lower it down.
Yeah, that's great.
I just love Wonder Woman.
And another question that comes up a lot too is they want to know what, they don't really understand what organic is. Like we always say organic, organic. And then they just know it's a word. They don't really, so that's something that.
Yeah. So it's using soil that doesn't have chemicals in it, right? But
You're welcome. I just made a, yeah, thanks. If I don't have one. So, thank you. There's 2 pages, I didn't staple them, so you need a, that's why I was doing it. Good to see you. So, what do you already know about next generation science standards? They're what?
They're very different from the old standard.
Yes and no. Yes. They're I would suggest to you, not that I know you that well yet, but it gives us a little more permission to teach the way we wanted to teach science. And we know that you don't get enough time for science in the classroom. We get that. So my main job at Adelphi, I feel, is to teach future teachers how to be creatively subversive about getting more science in. But you know that literacy is the way to do it. But we also know that science inquiry isn't just reading a book about yucky worms and then saying we did science. We know the inquiry is when they look at worms, they set up a composting after they've come to the farm, right? And then you read the story, right? So we know about the effectiveness of the 5E learning cycle: engage, explore, explain, expand, evaluate. This isn't McCarthyism. That would be, political. This is research shows, and people always go, why do you quote research to teachers? Their life experiences show this. They really, it's nice as an institution to talk about research, but you know through your own dedicated lives as teachers what works with kids. They need to observe, they need to experience, and that's why you're bringing them here. When you get back to the, I'm sorry if I didn't make enough, I apologize, maybe you could share. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So I just copied the 4th grade, and I copied what was most connected to your work here. So the science and engineering practices, you say they're very different, but let's read these 8, right?
they just look. They're different. They're written differently than we're used to.
They are written very differently, but the state's adopted them, right? Or is this close to adopting them? So they're coming soon to a theater near you.
They look good. They're just so different.
They look good, they are good, and what the NGSS does as a document, I'll send you the link, is if you look at this page, can we look at this page, please?
Should they give you ways to implement them? Like,
Yeah, so right here, 4 LS1 means disciplinary core idea life science, right? LS life science, from molecules to organisms, structures, and processes. So let's look at what our students, our 4th grade scientists, should be able to do. The first one is someone read the bold. Someone read it.
Instruct an article that plants and animals have internal and external structures that function to support survival, growth, behavior, and reproduction.
Have you done that in the past? Yeah. So yes, it's new. Yes, it's very different. But look down to the bottom of this box. What do you see that they've done nicely for us? What's at the very bottom? Added in the Common Core learning standards. So look, we understand it's overwhelming, and we understand that you get told, you guys are so awesome, and we're going to put one more thing on your plate. And you go, okay, what are you taking off? And they go, no, we're heaping it on. We got one more thing for your plate. And you guys, as dedicated people, go, okay, right? But what this does nicely is answers that question of this plus the Common Core, and says, yes, here's the connection. Here's a connection. And then again, you make your own connections as smart, sophisticated teachers with a wealth of experience. The second one, someone read that please? Bold. Life Science 1.2.
Use a model to describe that animals receive different types of information through their senses, process the information in their brain, and respond to the information in different ways.
Right now, you've been on the farm a whole other day, and now. Can you think of like 15 things already to connect to these two standards? While worms don't have brains, they have nervous systems. Why bees don't have brains like us, they have amazing communication and nervous systems. Did you see a bird here? Are you going to see killdeer in the field? Most certainly you are. Are you going to see animals in the, right here? Oh my gosh, I wonder why. What if the bee didn't have a pollen sac? What if the bird's beak wasn't shaped like that? External structures, right? Then there's science and engineering practices. Now if we can go back to the front page, every time you look at the NGSS, and shameless plug, where's Dr. Martin? Well, you can tell Dr. Martin that my colleague and I come to schools and help teachers to unpack the next generation science standards for a fee. Okay. Okay, I do it for free because I love you guys already. Okay, science and engineering practices. What are they? Just take turns. Number one, what's the science and engineering practice? What's your name? Karen, number one. Number one.
Sorry, I was watching this.
You should. You should.
Asking questions for science and defining problems for engineering.
Developing and using models.
Planning and carrying out investigations.
Analyzing and interpreting data.
Using mathematics and computational thinking. Constructing explanations for science and designing solutions for engineering.
Engaging in argument from evidence.
Obtaining, evaluating, and communicating information.
Turn and talk right now and think about ways that what you can take of the experiences in the farm to hit those practices. Just talk with each other. You don't need us. Talk with each other.
Yeah. I never do enough, like, you know.
What we did here was science and you guys did the soil block,
Right.
and you did it in the trays, correct? Like you
Right.
So we did both. These were the ones that do the blocks. These are the ones that do the soil blocking. So there's your different, there's your question. There's your, okay, this is happening here, this happened here, the different separation.
And then maybe
See? It's a great question, that was a great question.
About the argument.
You know, like it's similar to like how some to grow.
and those trays are like
Experiment.
readily reusable. We take
So who wants to share out? Already, what are you thinking?
Oh, you can subtract.
What are you guys thinking? Oh, come on, share out.
Well, the one that we kind of stopped at the mathematical, and then we said, well, maybe we could measure how tall they've grown from February to now, and then we could look at from now until June, what's the growth rate once they go from the containers into the ground, and compare the growth of the two different.
We have to be really sure, Steph, the teachers are very concerned and should be about putting this block lettuce next to that tray lettuce because they want to compare the growth. So do we have a ruler right now we can measure? Or actually, let's measure now, but did someone take pictures so that for sure you have the pictures so you could say February 23rd, April 18th, 2016, whatever year.
Can some of you share those pictures if you have any that you could share with us because we weren't here?
Do we have a ruler, Steph? Does anyone?
Yeah.
So they're going to measure. Thank you very much. If you tell me what it's okay.
No.
Okay. Okay, so that's definitely, that's like hits 5 of them, right? Computational thinking, a kid here would be going, I'm going to develop a Minecraft Crossroads farm. That's all computational thinking, right? I don't know if you read the New York Times article this weekend, it was really good on what Minecraft does for computational thinking. What else, guys? Come on. What else?
We talked about the analyzing and interpreting data. Talked about and planning out and carrying out investigations about the difference in the way the two plants were planted.
We were talking too about the environmental implications, how it seemed like the soil blocking is actually using less plastic, it's easier, we can reuse that tray, whereas those cell blocks can be breaking. But now I'm curious when Stephanie shows us how to separate them. Is that difficult? Is that detrimental to the roots? I don't know.
And what's going to happen for your kids? These same things, right? If you coach and guide, right? What else can you think of? How about engaging in arguments from evidence?
They could argue that the soil blocking is a better method for planting.
That's okay, that works. Necessity is a mother of invention. What about, go ahead, please, I apologize.
We were saying about like the argument about like why should you like not kill bees and like, or like why eat organically, or But when you were just saying about the cell blocking, we were just planting in there. What's the difference of?
Staff, you want to go through it again? Share again?
I'm sorry.
Don't.
Probably already.
There's no sorry. There's no sorry.
What was your question?
They were just saying something about the cell blocking.
When you do it this way, it allows the roots to get more space automatically.
Is that the one that you were just showing us?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But this way is also more time consuming because you have to mix the soil together, make sure it's the right consistency before you can go and mold it up into the soil block molds. This way is also time consuming, but I think this way is a little bit more, so I don't start off the season this way with a lot of stuff. But if I feel like I'm up against a time limit with getting stuff done, being ready to seed and having it go out to the fields, then I'll do it this way. Like I mentioned just to the ladies inside, or maybe just inside, I started some cucumbers, seeds that I wanted to see if they're going to germinate faster that way because they just have a bigger space that's facing up to the sun, and I think it'll happen better, quicker.
What is this way called?
This is just cells.
That's
Tray
the
cells.
difference. Tray
Yeah, 'cause
cells
there's
versus
50
soil block.
There's 50 holes in here, so as you can see, they're really tight. And I just think this way is a little faster germination, but I also feel that it's a little more time consuming.
When you separate those, are they difficult to separate? Are the roots still
These?
entangled or it's fine? Do you think?
They're pretty. I mean, they might stick together, but for the most part, it's pretty easy. So now you can see with this head here, look at all that root structure. I mean, look at the room that it has. Leonor did these in the big one. This is the big one. This isn't the medium sized one. This is the big one that we would normally do squashes in or zucchinis, but she did it in the big one because I think she just knew that it would have to sit a while before it got tended to, which is what happened. So, until
These didn't grow, Steph.
Right.
Someone asked. So that was our rate of success in the tray planting.
Yeah.
Right. That these many didn't. So we'll reuse this, but counting. 14
probably
did not take.
Probably because the seed wasn't good, but you just never know. One could argue that these ones that didn't germinate, if they were done this way, either in the big one or the medium-sized one, maybe they would have germinated. One could argue that as well. So it's really hard to say. I try really hard to make sure that everything gets watered twice. Now that we're getting into spring and summer, as you can tell, it gets really hot in here. It gets really hot in the glass house. So I need everything to be watered at least twice, sometimes 3 times.
Parallel reading comprehension skills. And studies have shown that kids, inquiry hands-on can can be less than what it should be, right? Just because you're giving someone something to look and play with doesn't mean that all of a sudden it's magical. But the more you engage children in scientific thinking, i.e. science and engineering practices, it parallels reading comprehension skills. And so it's overall one of the many reasons why there should be more science inquiry, but I have a feeling we're preaching to the choir. I have a feeling that's why you're here. Any other conversations that you've had with your colleague about the science and engineering practices connecting to the experience of being at the farm?
Just to have more meaningful is to be here and to open a textbook or even just to bring it into the classroom. This is priceless.
So after you talk about the bees, see the beehive, like there is curriculum. Has anyone ever used grade explorations in math and science called GEMS? This is the Buzzing a Hive Teacher's Guide, grades 3 through 6. One of you can take it, but it's absolutely wonderful. When people were asking earlier about who's what, who does what, it's beautifully presented here, illustrated here. Thank you for that word. So I'll put my name in this, and someone can take this, and never copy because that's a violation. Just bring it back when you're done. And then there's all kinds of books we have on bees, but once they've seen the bees, once they've experienced that peacefulness, once you've told them to close their eyes, close their ears, open them up gradually, it might just subtly shift the experience enough that they get it. So we have all these books on bees that again you can borrow. I know that even though in 4th grade you might have readers at different levels, say. So this is just a basic book. This is Flight of the Honeybee. Are you a bee? No, you're not, but it's the title of the book. The Magic School Bus Inside a Beehive. Life and Times of the Honeybee. This one is phenomenal. And it's one of my favorite authors for Gail Gibbons. Phenomenal. This is more about to educate us on the pesticide impact and the bee colony collapse. No, we don't want gloom and doom, but we also want them to understand this is dire important. And who's going to have more impact on the parents than their own kid, right? When they can argue a claim, right? Do a persuasive essay, write an opinion essay. This is. Go
People
ahead.
don't even know it.
Yeah.
The parents and adults, they don't even realize.
That's right. A lot of people don't. You're right. I didn't stop to even. Yeah. So these are yours to borrow for a while. I'm just going to ask you, whoever takes them, to be the one who signs them out with me. Not that I think you're going to keep them, but I have borrowed things from people, and then I'm like, no, Steph, I don't have your books. And she's like, no, yeah, you do. And I'm like, no, I'm sure I don't. And then I go look and I'm covered. I'm like, oh my God, there's Stephanie's books, and she was being so gracious about saying, no, you have my books. Okay. So if anybody wants these, they can sign them out. I do need them back for my Adelphi Methods class in 10 days. Okay. But if you just see the titles, or people want to take pictures of the titles, obviously you have your own library. But to save you time and energy, feel free to borrow these. Okay. Cool. You're welcome. They become the bee, right? Where they go, they get the pollen, right? You talk about the stamen, the pistil. This is internal and external structures of plants and animals. They fly, the sticky stigma. What if the stigma wasn't sticky? I talk slower with kids for 2 minutes, then I talk this quickly. What if the stigma wasn't sticky? What? It would stick. What if the pollen wasn't feathery and light? I couldn't carry it as far. I would drop it sooner. I wouldn't have as big of a territory, right? So the Cheetos represents the pollen. Is this making a model of external and internal structures, form and function? Yeah, this isn't the Cheeto thing. And then at the door you say, what do we do? They go, Cheetos were good. Yeah, thanks for having Cheetos. You're like, no. Why did we make a model? What did the Cheetos represent? Right? All that writing that goes with this in our model, etc. And yes, you play Flight of the Bumblebee by Beethoven in the background. It's a given. It's a given. So everybody with us on this stuff? There's just too much stuff that you can take back to your own classroom. Same thing with this. I'm gonna need this till my science methods class is over on May 13th. That would have already passed. And then you guys can borrow this stuff as well, because we don't want you to have to reinvent the wheel. We do ask whatever you use, you replenish the supply so that the next person would have what they need, and that I would have it returned to me as I gave it to you. And with those rules, I'm fine sharing. Okay? But that's just like, can I borrow this? Thanks so much. So if you turn this over, so far we've talked about the science and engineering practices. The Next Generation Science Standards has 3 parts: science and engineering practices, cross-cutting concepts, disciplinary core ideas. This is not the only standard for 4th grade in the NGSS. This is the one that most closely connects with your experience at Crossroads Farm that you can build on. So let's just quickly have you don't have to read out loud, with each other read the cross-cutting concepts, and again we're challenging you to make your own connections. So read the cross-cutting concepts and talk about connections. Sees a connection. Someone who didn't share last time, who sees a connection.
Well, right away the
Go.
patterns and
What?
the hexagons and just like it's just so obvious and right there. The technical structure and function, like using the different size blocking. You know, like if we determine that that's the better way to grow, it doesn't change if you use the small block or the medium block.
And Steph told you why. You guys asked a great question. Why wouldn't we do that? I wish Steph was standing here right now. She and Maggie, but for the seeds you planted, just stop for a second. Please tell your kids that.
Yeah.
Here's a woman who spent since February has soil blocked, has trade, has. We are so. If every penny matters, every thousandth of a penny matters here. She's like being sure that each one is. That's basically one woman and her assistant's work. It's mind-boggling. And kids need to get that. Not only that it goes from farm to table, but the labor involved by a few people to produce this bounty. It's mind-boggling.
Right, and maybe like wasting food and not like, you know,
Thank you.
the work that went into making, you know.
Do you know how much Americans waste in their food, my family included? What percent of food we waste? 40%. 40%. If they walk away wasting less food and grow a lettuce and tomato plant, you have made a difference. Carbon footprint, the more food you grow locally, the better. Nutrition, the more food you grow locally, the better. If I may, social and emotionally, the more time you spend outdoors in dirt, the better. So I don't know what our institutions are doing that we're not spending 100 days here. How about, I know, I'll go talk to Governor Cuomo and mention to him that these tests really don't measure what's important. Yeah, I think I'll go do that. I'm sure you will. So here's the deal, guys, though. I understand you're in systems. Could you turn this off right now? See, is this lettuce or this lettuce grow better? So that's why they're measuring the height now. Okay?
So we're not doing that.
Not right now. Don't you want the kids to do it? And here's
Some
the
of the
deal.
ones that were already-
You won't be here Thursday, right?
Right.
Guys, this is critical. Videotape as much as you can and explain it as you're doing it. So say I'm in the Willow group and that's the group that just works out that they do this. Say, hi, we're the Willow group. What we're doing right now, right? Make them do an instruction video. Tell them. We're comparing how the seeds planted in the trays vary from, you want to say are better or worse, right? Vary from the soil block. So these, which we've labeled trays, are here. We're sure that we've planted them as close as possible in the same raised bed because we wanted one variable to be different, whether it was planted in the tray or whether it was planted using the soil block, not strategy, but technique, what word? Blocking. So I know what to do, so I would say soil blocking, right? Is that clear? But we're counting on you to videotape that and then share it with each other so that when, on that lovely feast, the entire community gets a sense of start to finish and sees all the richness of the opportunity. And if you don't videotape it, we'll figure it out. But it's easier to get it than to go back. Is that clear? So you have to do that. Steph can't be running around.
Are there teachers from each school that could videotape? Because I can't be here on that day.
Yeah.
Maybe.
We'll take care of it.
Okay. Thank you.
We're easy.
And then I'll collect it from you. And then my son can help us web this all together. He went to film school, so I'm going to try to pick from him. And maybe at the end we'll have a really good video.
Get us like an email.
Foil, you put soil and worms in each one, predict what's going to happen, observe over time. The temperature, you can't believe how hot the organic life gets in the soil. But I think it's $17 on Amazon. This magnifies, right? So this, I think, is worth an investment. I mean, I know we all spend money that we shouldn't of our own, but to have a controlled compost, I had a big compost bin with worms, and my colleagues didn't like me for that and other reasons, but it was because that smelled. Yeah, got that? It's because that smelled, but see how simple, come on, anybody can put this in their classroom. It's just simple. Remember how we said how important compost was to the plants? Let's see if we can make our own compost. What do you think breaks down? I have a song about good garbage breaking down by Tom Chapin, shameless plug. He's actually doing our folk concert here in June. And that's an education song you can learn to compare things that are biodegradable and things that are non-biodegradable. I'll share that lesson with you. We'll start a Google Drive folder. Plop, share. Deal?
That's a good idea.
Google Drive, okay? So my email is mccarthy2@adelphi.edu. If you want to be on my Google Drive folder that I start for all of us, McCarthy, McCarthy2, yes, the number, @adelphi.edu. Shoot me an email that says, please include me in the, you have to say please, include me in the Valley Stream School District 13, and then we'll start that folder and we'll just start putting stuff in there that says worms, bird adaptation, seed adaptation, and you'll take whatever is of value, okay? Cool? So you have the support you need on the back end. Good? Okay.
Yeah. No, ours won't be until like second time. Oh, the second time. Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Like, what would that entail?
Yeah. Yeah. In here, this has been our teaching garden area. And the way it's gonna work now for this season is everybody remembers Leonore Russell? Okay, she's the farm education director, and Mary Jean, everybody knows her obviously. And then there's another board director. Her name is Marilyn Cranen. The three of them had sat down, planned out, and decided what this teaching garden area is now going to be for this season. And they've come up with a pizza garden. So the front two boxes are going to be what is supposed to be like your dough. The front two boxes are going to have wheat and buckwheat and rye planted in them. And then these two boxes here, these middle ones, some of the toppings, and then this is going to be your salad box, and then these ones are going to be the dessert area. So what we're doing today is we're just going to plant one of each. So I have one broccoli in a soil block. I decided to grab one spinach in a soil block, and then I chose a very nice lettuce in a soil block. Now just to go over some basic planting stuff. This is true for any home garden. Anything you decide to do at home, it's the same here or there. If you see any dead leaves that look like they're yellowing or they're browning or they're kind of wilting or whatever, you want to pick those off as soon as possible, because even this guy, you see, he's kind of like a light green, sort of. He's not doing too well. He's not as bright and big as the other ones. Even you want to pull him off, because those three things that I just pulled off of this one lettuce actually contribute to the growth of this plant still. It's drawing away energy to make this grow any bigger and better than it already is. So you always want to get rid of stuff that's dead looking or not doing too well to better help. It's like for the greater good thing, you know. Okay. So I'm going to plant these in the middle. Yeah.
So like all the broccoli would go there.
I mean, you can also interchange too, but for now I'm just kind of wasn't really talked out with me in full, so I'm just kind of going with this now. So they look like they're evenly spaced, sort of. Yeah. Pretty well. Yeah. All right. Okay. So. This, I'm just going to break it up just a little bit while it's still kind of intact. Dig a hole pretty deep. Put this in there. So this box was, I had it cleaned up. I had a volunteer do it. Cleaned out the box, raked it, and they filled it up with a compost manure. I don't know. Did we go over the compost thing that we're doing here at the farm? Okay. There's a horse stable in West Hempstead. It's on Eagle Avenue. It's now called the Newark Equestrian Center. I used to take horseback riding lessons there when I was in grade school. It was totally owned by different people and whatnot. So now it's a new business, and we've been working with them the past few seasons now, and we've been getting their manure drops from the horses. And when we first started the project, it was coming here. The fresh manure drops were coming here, and it was being set in the field on the other side of this year-round hoop house. And it was curing, because according to NOFA, which is the Northeast Organic Farming Association, we can use animal manure on our farm, but it has to sit for 15 days or longer, and it has to be temperatured for over 130 degrees before we can use it. So a lot of it's been cured. We have a good amount of manure that's been curing for well over a year, almost 2 years now. So it's definitely safe, within the realm, within the guidelines of being allowed to use it on the fields, because we are growing food out of it. And one of the factors with, any kind of manure, is E. coli. So that's the reason why we have to let it go. So I had the volunteer clean out this bed, and I had, it was a girl, so I had her fill it up with manure, and she raked it in and spread it out so the bed gets happy. So that's what's going on. I'm going to do the same thing with this. sometimes there's still weeds there. This one's got a dead plant. Breaking this one up too, just a little bit. Nice and full. Okay, so now I'm gonna water. Now you don't ever want to water like straight on top of anything because you might crush it or bend it or break, you know, the leaves. So the best rule of thumb is to kind of water around it. If it's got a skinny stem, then you can kind of water right on top of it. Chances are you're not gonna impound the leaves. And lettuce, if it's open like this, you can go directly inside, but just be gentle. But for the most part, you definitely want to try to water around it as much as you can. So this is Corvier loose leaf spinach. That one might be winter density. Not sure, I'd have to look at the tag again inside. But then this one is called Bell Star broccoli. That's just the type of broccoli it is. The same with the lettuce and the same with the spinach.
I have a question.
So yes.
Because it is organic,
Mm-hmm.
is there, you know, at times you have pests that start eating at your plants. What do you do if that starts happening? Do you have any natural remedies that you use?
Yes. We've used in the past, if anybody has ever heard of Bragg's vinegar, you should. It's a very good vinegar. It's organic. You can use it for anything. You can use it for your hair. You use it on your face. You can use it to clean with. You can use it in your garden. It's definitely something that it's got so many uses that you can do within your own life and in your own home. So we diluted some Bragg's vinegar and water, and we sprayed on the plants and stuff. That's one way. Another way we've tried in the past is using milk and water and having a solution, and we spray it on the leaves, on the soil, and that combats some insects. It really depends on what it is. Because this is kind of a secluded farm, we really don't have too many insect problems. Or I've had questions in the past about, you know, little bigger animals, you know, maybe eating away at our crops once we're like full into harvest season, possibly. We've never really had any issues like that of, you know, like squirrels or raccoons or cats or, you know, dog that might have gotten loose, you know, eating crops or something. It's just something that really doesn't happen here. But we've had some fungus issues and some insect issues. But yes, with being an organic farm, we don't use anything that's harsh, that's man-made really.